All right, Honors Algebra 2 and Regular Algebra 2. Here's your Chapter 9 game plan video for Spring 2019. One of our last videos here of the year. I'm going to go kind of quickly through this. Should just circle some extra hints here. Anyway, page 1 here, we're talking about midpoint and distance. All right, so that's the midpoint formula. Just add up the x's divided by 2, add up the y's divided by 2. That's distance. I like to teach it using the Pythagorean theorem. So this top one here, that's what a book is going to show you about distance. Again, you should learn this in class. Here's just some answers just in case. Midpoint, take the x's, -3, -2, add them together, divide by 2. I like it better as a fraction there. Take the y's, -2 and 7, add them together and divide by 2. The distance would be the distance from the x distance squared. So it's just Pythagorean theorem. Distance squared equals x distance squared plus y distance squared. In the x distance, you're going from -3 to -2. That's a distance of 1. The y distance direction, you're going from -2 to 7. That's a distance of 9. 1 squared or 9 squared is 82. Take the square root of 82. All right, moving on to the next page here. I don't think a lot of them are numbered, so page 2, it says page 2 at the bottom. So there you go. There's midpoint. Add them up, divide by 2. 3 and 0. Add 5 and -7 up, divide by 2. In the x direction, from 3 to 0, that is 3. 5 to -7, that's 12. So distance squared is x distance squared plus y distance squared. Root 153 is perfect. And then there's your answer to number 10. All right. Again, if you're gone, this should help you piece together what you need to do on the other questions. All right, probably the hardest, well, not yet. Then let's take a look at number 12 here. Again, we'll talk about 12 in class. Find the coordinates of the point that is 2/3 of the way from A to B. So it's almost like midpoint, but I'm starting at A and I want to go 2/3 of the way to B. So first I need to figure out how far do I travel in the x direction, from -5 to 4. From -5 to 4, that's a distance of 9. So 2/3 of 9 is 6. All right. So to figure out my x location, I start at -5 and I add 6 to it. And I'm going to end at 1 in the x direction. Okay, so then I start at -1 and I end at 2 in the y direction. I'm going from -1 to 2, I'm going 3. 2/3 of the distance, that is 3, is 2. So if I start at -1 and go 2, I add 2 to the y direction. I also end at 1 for the y. All right, the problem is not as hard as you think it is. All right, parabolas, folks. This, as we talked about in class, will probably be the hardest section in this game plan. And here are the graphs for 3 and 4. We will also do them in class. So this is written in vertex form. Vertex is the opposite, so 2 and then the same, 2, 3. So I put 2, 3 there because of symmetry. I forgot to do anything with 4 there. Anyway, 2, 3 is my vertex, so I go 1 to the right, 1 to the left. I plug 3 in for x. I get 1 because of symmetry. It's also 1, 1, just like we did when we graphed absolute value functions. I plug 4 in for x, and I get -5. So there's a -5, and there's a -5, and I plot the points. It makes that igloo. All right. Now we haven't looked at one where it opens up to the right. Okay, so anytime x equals a positive y squared, it opens up to the right. If you have x equals a negative y squared, it opens up to the left. So the vertex is 0, 0. All right, we'll talk about more of that in class. Now, you're squaring y, so that's the reason I let y be 2 and -2, because when you square it, that 2, you're going to get 4, and half of 4 is 2. So then, when y is 2 or -2, because we're kind of going backwards, we're not plugging things in for x, we're plugging things in for y. Again, when you square -2, you get 4. When you square +2, you get 4. What's half of 4? 2, 2. Then I'm going to skip 3, because if I square 3, take 1/2 of it, I get a decimal. I'm going to square 4 and then -4. When I score 4 and -4, I get 16. Half of 16 is 8 and 8. All right, I plot those points. It opens up to the right. I'm going to boo-boo on 5 and 6 again. We need to go over all those. There's only 6 parabolas we're going to graph. We're going to cover them all in class together. All right, vertex form, folks, about completing the square. I didn't move that constant over. Then I factor out the 3, leaving me with x squared minus 2x. I complete the square. What's 1/2 of -2 squared? +1. So, and I left that blank. If I add a 1 here, I'm not really adding a 1. I'm adding a 3 times 1. That's why there's a 3 here. Okay, what I do on one side, I got to do onto the other. If I put a 1 there, 3 times 1 gives me 3 that I really added to the right, so I got to add it to the left. This will factor to be x minus 1 twice. That's why it's x minus 1 squared. The 3 is on the outside. This is y plus 7. Y's got to be all by itself, so I move the 7 over. Now it's written in vertex form. Oh, and identify the vertex, which I forgot to do. The vertex is 1, negative 7. It's going to be the same, or the different, same, opposite, same. Again, I'd say parabolas are the hardest section for sure. Not a day you want to miss. Anyway, I'm going to move, this one would open to the right. I'm going to move this over. So you have x plus 6 equals y squared minus 4y plus. I take half of negative 4, which is negative 2, and I square it. So I put a 4 there, and I put a 4 there. That gives me x plus 10 on the left. This factors to be y minus 2 twice, so squared. And then I move the 10 over. All right, so now my vertex form is not going to be 2, negative 10, but negative 10, comma 2. All right, negative 10, comma 2, because you have x equals instead of y there. My vertex is negative 10, comma 2. All right, so when y is 2, x is negative 10. All right. So we'll talk about the formula for a circle, but it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is r squared. So it's always, it's the opposite. If it's negative 3, it's going to be plus 3. Positive 2, it's going to be minus 2. And that's equal to radius squared, which is 16. Circles are very easy to work with. So I'm really just going to provide the answers here on page 4. We'll have plenty of days to review. All right, it's the end of the school year, so don't be missing time anyway. All right, so here's the next one. When you square root, that number falls down. You square 4, you get 16. 16 times 2 is 32. All right. Next page here. So given the diameter, given the endpoints of the diameter, so these would be the harder questions for sure. The midpoint, folks, is the center. So to find the center, take the x's, add them up, divide by 2. Take the y's, add them up, divide by 2. So your center is going to be negative 1, negative 5. So it's x plus 1 squared plus y plus 5 squared equals some radius squared. Well, to find the radius, that's just, I mean, there's many ways we can do it. We might find an easier way to do it in class, but I'm going to use the distance formula to, now square root of 80, I want to break that down. That is 4 root 5. So the distance in this case is the length of diameter, so the radius would be half that. It'd be 2 root 5. That's why I took 2 root 5 and I squared it. All right? Going to take some time on this question, on those 4 questions. And then a point it goes through, so I've given you the center, and it goes through 2, 4, which happen to be an x and a y value. So instead of writing x, I write 2. Instead of writing y, I write 4. Guys, when you square negative 4, you get a positive 16. All right? Don't write negative 16. Now, the formula asks for r squared, so it's simply 41 there. All right, it's all good questions. Graphing a circle, even though I botched it, is very easy. You just need to find the center, 3, 1, and put up a dot there. Over 3 up 1. The radius squared is 16, so the radius is 4. You go 4 north, 4 east, 4 west, 4 south. I accidentally went 5 south there. All right, anyway, make your best circle. Not too difficult. All right, your center here is 1. If there's nothing there, it's 0. 1, 0 is your center. And again, the radius is 4. Up 4, right 4, down 4, left 4. All right, find the center and the radius of each circle. So these are pretty interesting. We have to do completing the square. So Honors Algebra 2, definitely expect this. I mean, both classes should expect to see this question. This is completing the square twice. So I need to put the x's together. X squared plus 8x plus blank y squared minus 6y equals 0. So to complete the square, I take half of 8, which is 4, and I square it 16. That means I got to add 16 to the other side. Then I take half of negative 6, which is negative 3. I square it. That's 9. I add 9 to the other side. This factors be x plus 4 twice. so squared. This is y minus 3 twice, so squared, and that equals 25. And it's written in perfect form there, standard form. The center is negative 3. R squared is 25, so R is 5. That works out great. All right, there's the formula for an ellipse. X squared always goes first, and A squared is always bigger. That's the major axis. So when we graph something, and these are all from the origin there. So A squared is always bigger. All right, so A squared is 25, so A is 5. That means on the y-axis, you start at 0, 0. You're going to go 5 to the right. Whoa, 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 whoa. We made a boo-boo there. On the y-axis, it's bigger. All right, so that's actually going to be a little bit of a problem. All right, so on the x-axis, it is 2. And on the y-axis, it's 5. Okay, so it's elongated with the y-axis, and it's going to look something like that. All right, kind of football standing straight up. My fault on that one. All right, hopefully this one was done right. And it also was not done right. I have no idea what I was thinking at that time. Blame it on new dad brain. Anyway, A squared is always bigger, so A is 3, and it's elongated on the x-axis. And then B squared is 4, and that's on the y-axis. So closer A and B are together, the more it'll look like a circle, but it's actually going to be like that. Unbelievable. All right. Okay, then we're talking about the hyperbola, folks. So, we'll see if this one's done right. Whatever comes first is how the curve is going to open up. We talked about class about making a rectangular box, which make your imaginary little your asymptotes there, which sometimes you don't see in the graph, but they do guide your graph. Okay, so A squared always comes first. A squared is 16, so A is 4. So on the x-axis, a rectangular box, put at 4 and 4. Again, this is on the origin here, the yellow vertex. B squared is 4, so B is 2. So on the y-axis, go up 2, down 2. Make a dotted rectangular box around that. Then your asymptotes go through the origin in this case. Because x is first, it's going to open up along the x-axis. All right, so that one was graphed. All right. And then a few more here. Let's see. This time y squared comes first. So A squared is always first. And the hyperbola, A squared is 9, so A is 3. Go up 3 on the y-axis, down 3. B squared is 25, so B is 5. Go over 5 to the right, 5 to the left. Make your dotted rectangular box, asymptotes through the origin. Y squared is first, so it opens up on the y-axis. All right, let's graph each conic section. So notice how x squared and y squared are both positive. It doesn't equal 1. It's a circle with a center of negative 1 and 2. Radius squared is 16. Radius is 4. Negative 1, 2. Up 4. Right 4. Down 4. Left 4. Circle. All right. I think, gosh, it was 0 for 2 before on ellipses. So this is an ellipse. How do you know? Because it's plus. It equals 1. You're divided by something, so it's not a circle. A squared is 4. So on the x-axis, you go 4 to the right, 4 to the left. Y-axis, you go 3 up, 3 down. Make your ellipse. And we have a hyperbola because of the minus. Anytime you see a minus, it's a hyperbola. So A squared, remember it always comes first, is 49. Go set, which is A is 7. 7 to the right, 7 to the left. B squared is 25. You go 5 up, 5 down. Make your big rectangular box. Plot those draw those asymptotes there. And X came first, so it opens up on the x-axis, your curves. All right. Let's see. Last one here. I do love these, especially for final. Given the equation of a conic section in standard form, name it. All right. It doesn't equal 1. Positive. This is a circle. It equals 1. Both are positive. It's an ellipse. Does not equal 1. Both are positive. Circle. It equals 1. You have subtraction, hyperbola. There's a circle. ellipse, another ellipse, hyperbola, circle. All right, let's see what else we got in here. Given the equation of the circle and the radius, write the equation of the circle. That's pretty easy. Also pretty easy right there. Going backwards here, given the equation, given the center and the radius, -2, 3, then 7. Very easy. Next page, a circle has a center of 2, -3, and passes through -1, 5. I gave you an x and a y. Write its equation in standard form. So first, put in your center there. If x is -1 and y is 5, plug that in. 8 squared, -3 squared, that's 9 is 64. R squared is 73. You need to put it all together just like that. All right, folks, and then I believe the rest of the pages are just stuff to do on your own, or I will do together with you. All right, folks, that is your Chapter 9 game plan review video, and this is Yak Math Videos signing out.